Here we go. We are jumping into Mollusca. Okay, so these are mollusks. A lot of this is an edible food. A lot of you might eat a bunch of different types of mollusk. I hope you don't eat Squidward or Gary. But we're going to kind of talk about these guys today and see what we can figure out. So obviously they're invertebrates, because we're still in the invertebrate string back on the wall. Most seashells that you find at the beach are from mollusks. So if you've ever been to the beach and you carried around your little pail or your little mesh bag and you picked up all the seashells and you ran back to your little umbrella and you laid them all out and you took them home later on that night, they all come from mollusks. Okay, the inside part is not there anymore, but there used to be an organism living inside. So you can see here a nice picture of, okay, all of these are mollusk shells. The mollusk has since died. Most likely a seagull ate it or something like that. So what you need to know here is that it has a soft, segmented body. Okay, remember that word segmented means parts, kind of like chapters in a book. So it has a soft, broken down, or segmented body that's protected with a hard shell. So these guys kind of have a suit of armor on the outside. Shells are made of some sort of calcium carbonate. It's extremely strong. You can step on a lot of shells and not break them. So these are very protective for the soft bodies on the inside. And the reason I said at the beginning that a lot of you might eat these is because scallops are mollusks, oysters, clams, I'm sure mussels. I'm sure there's more that I can't think of right now, but all of those are mollusks. Personally, I don't eat any of them except scallops. I do enjoy scallops. My brother eats clams. I know you can get some pasta dishes with some seafood in it, so maybe you do like to eat mollusks. So here's that word again. This should look familiar. Pseudopod. They do have a pseudopod as well. So pop quiz, what's that word mean? False foot. Pseudo means false. Pod means foot. They are going to use this foot for about the same purpose as an amoeba. They're going to crawl with it, they're going to dig with it, and they're going to use it to hunt. So you can see here, it kind of looks like a tongue, but it's actually a foot. So they're going to reach this pseudopod out. They're going to kind of dig around in the sand, dig themselves down into the sand. Maybe they're going to catch a little sand flea so they can eat it. You're going to see a video of a clam later that uses his pseudopod to eat a bunch of salt. So I think that video is pretty cool. There are three major groups of mollusks that you need to know: gastropods, bivalves, and cephalopods. So before we even jump in any farther, we're going to do a pop quiz. What does the word bivalve mean, do you think? Here's that prefix bi again. You might not know what valve means, but bi means two. So it's going to have two valves or two shells. This guy has one shell. This guy has one really big shell. A bivalve is going to have two shells. So we're going to look at that in just a second, but we're going to start with gastropods first. So gastropods are snails and conches, just like the magic conch from SpongeBob. I think I have a picture coming up. So gastropods have either one shell or no shell at all. Slugs are the thing that have no shells. So a slug is a snail just without a shell. They always say if you pour salt on a slug, it'll crinkle up and die, so don't do that. Gastropods do have a head. Okay, so Gary the snail is a gastropod. So that's how I want you to remember this if you forget. Gary is a gastropod, and you can think that Gary only has one shell here. And same thing with the magic conch in SpongeBob. The conch shell is a gastropod. It is just one shell. If it was not in SpongeBob, there would actually be an organism living in here. Kind of looks a little snaily. The second one is bivalves, and we should already have an idea what's going on here. Clams, oysters, scallops, mussels, all of those are going to be bivalves. Remember, the prefix bi means two shells. These guys are mostly stationary. So think of Gary the snail slithering around. He can move around SpongeBob's pineapple house pretty easily because he's got, like snaky kind of legs, not legs, squirmy little things. So he can slither around. But the bivalves, because they have two shells, they can't really easily move around. Their pseudopod, you can see some pseudopods poking out here. Their pseudopod does allow them to move a little bit, but they're really not very quick at moving. So that's why you see a lot of shells on the beach, because these guys get eaten pretty easily. They do have a simple nervous system. They have a brain and nerves. So these guys can think if they see, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I'm not buried in the sand, I need to do that. So they can think and they can dig themselves back down into the sand. So they are about as intelligent as you'd think a clam would be. This is a clam shell. You see how it's nice and smooth along the edge? And this one is a scallop. So this shape is actually scalloped. You see how it has like little indents the whole way across the shell. So that's why this gets its named as a scallop, because it has a scalloped shell. And the last one we're going to talk about is a cephalopod. The prefix cephalo means head or skull. So you can kind of infer that these guys are going to have a head. So they have no shell. Sometimes they do have an inside shell, okay, but not a whole lot. They have really good vision and really big brains because these are squids and octopi. So cephalopods is squid and octopi. If you eat calamari, it's squid. So you are actually eating the casing up here around the squid, or my dad likes the ones that are baby squid. I don't like those. I like the rings. And you can actually eat octopi as well. Maybe I can link a cool video of somewhere there's a restaurant. I believe it's in Asia somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where. And they make a little squid dance, but he's already dead. So it's a little weird, but it's a little cool at the same time. So I'll see if that video is appropriate, and maybe I can link that here. So cephalopod means head. They have really good vision, really large brains. Okay, look at this guy. He's got big old glassy eyes that look like he's looking right into your soul. Same thing with this guy. He's got big eyes. He can see in the very dark of the bottom of the ocean. So I'm going to link a couple videos here for you to watch. I definitely want you to watch the clam and the pseudopod so you can see his false foot licking up the salt. And maybe I can find that octopus dancing video, and I can link that for you. But as soon as you get done your Mollusca notes, I need you to go back to Google Classroom or look up at the front board to figure out where you need to go next. Please keep yourself busy.